what they do is they there's things they'll overlook, and there's things that they'll magnify and make, bigger than what they're supposed to be. All depends who's there at what time, what the
What's
situation
necessary
is.
for the situation. Yeah, that makes sense to me.
The point what I'm trying to make is that Oscar, although he's an associate, he can never be a made guy. He's just as respected as a made guy, right? Technically, he's with the Genovese if anything political came up. But everybody knew, the Genovese family especially knew that he has a long-standing relationship with Vic and Gas. He's done a lot of things with them that are off record, and that he would do again for them. So Johnny Petrocelli was always, I think he was always bitter with Vic and Gas for that decision they made, because Johnny would always bring it up. I think that bothered him. He said, why do we have to kill the captain and his son? And why? Why do we have to go do that? There was no need to do it. And I agree with him. There was no need to do it.
I think he thinks more on a level-headed, and he had a little, from some of the stories you have talked about already, Petrocelli had a little bit of animosity if they made those rash decisions, and he didn't agree with a lot of them, because it could be worked out in his mind in a better situation where Gas and Vic, or Gas in that case, made the decision, we got to take those two out. And that he held that against them all along.
Yeah, he did say, I don't know, I forgot. I do know, I got to remember, I got to dig down deep and see who he did that work for. He killed 2 people. Johnny Petrocelli did. I don't know who he did it for.
Yeah.
But he did do a favor for somebody. And while he was on the lam, he was being taken care of. But I guess after years and years, he was on the lam a long time. And then finally he got caught shoplifting meat in a supermarket. When I heard, I never met her, his wife was just as tough as him. Like a, tough woman. When he was in jail, he was taken care of. I guess Vic looked out for him, Gas looked out for him. As soon as he came home, they put him in. Made guy right away.
Wow.
They took care of him. So if John had played his cards right, and I don't know how you play your cards right with those 2 guys.
It's a great question.
I really
I mean,
don't.
what would it take? What do you think it would take? I mean, you had a relationship, especially with Gas. I mean, does
That's a
all
good
logic
question. What would
go
it
out
take?
the door at that point? I don't know.
What would it take?
What would it take?
You would have to blindly, you might as well put a blindfold on and you have to blindly trust them.
Works the same way, you're saying. To
Blind
trust them like
trust.
that. Blind trust.
And don't do what I do what I say.
And don't get caught.
That's the biggest one. Don't get caught.
Don't get caught.
Biggest one. You walk away from the phone and you're like, don't get caught. You get orders to go kill a guy.
But don't
you
get
the
caught.
approval, but don't get caught.
Yeah.
What does that tell you? Hey, wait a second. What happens if I do get caught?
Thanks for putting that in the back of my head, right?
Do you mean get caught by the law? Well, I know that.
Yeah.
I know that scenario, what happens then.
Yeah,
but you're saying don't get caught by the other family? Now what? You're going to give me up?
Yeah.
You're going to say, oh, we didn't know he did it, and now we got to kill him?
We didn't authorize.
Yeah, so either way you're going out there, you're just saying, well, what am I doing this for? So blind trust is the answer.
Okay.
But with those guys, you will be tested. You will be tested on a consistent basis.
When you say tested.
A lot of families don't make guys. And the guy gets made. And he gets lost somewhere in the family, meaning, if it's a big family, let's say it's the Gambino family. They got, I don't know how many captains. They got a lot of captains, a lot of guys.
Big family, yeah.
Guy could get lost. Like he could, not lost, meaning he could just get put in a crew and that's it. They
just go on.
Yeah, out of sight, out of mind, or if his name doesn't come up, or if the guy's not flexing, he's not trying to make anything happen, he just gets blended in with the rest, right?
Yeah, that adds up.
With Vic and Gas, no, you will, especially if they're making you. If they make you and they put you in, you are going to be tested. And you're going to continue to be tested. And you better be consistent.
And you better be the guy they believe you to be.
You ain't sitting down. You're not sitting down and like saying, hey, thanks for the button.
Yeah.
Make guy
I'll
now.
be here, bring me my piece.
Now I want to be a politician. You ain't, especially if you're in their crew. If you're in the Brooklyn crew.
It ain't going to happen with that crew.
No. you are going to be involved
Mm-hmm.
in some capacity. You may not be the lead guy. You might not be the main guy, but you are going to be a guy. And if you fail, okay, they are going to eliminate you. Period.
Consequences.
So, for example, take Prince Street.
Mm-hmm.
Prince Street, all those guys were put in during the Tony Ducks era, in the 70s and whatever it was, right? And they still like that. Vic and Gas comes in. Vic and Gas didn't make any of those guys. They didn't make them. So they let them be. There's a crew. They're the politicians. Stand-up guys. Nobody told on anybody. Everybody likes them. They're kind of like I talked about. They're not bloodthirsty. All they want to do is make money. They're not out to kill anybody. Now, you take a crew like the Brooklyn crew. You take a crew like, what I mean by Brooklyn is Bensonhurst.
Okay.
You take a crew like Canarsie, right? Paul Vario's crew, the original crews. Vic and Gas put in all those guys.
Oh, is that right?
Well, after Vario, when they took over,
I didn't know that.
they made all the guys, all the way down. Pete Chiodo, Mikey DeSantis, Georgie Neck, Little Georgie, Manipulator Bones,
Yeah.
me. It goes on and on.
Wow.
They put in a whole bunch of Brooklyn guys, right? Well, if they're putting you in and they're making you under their regime and they're putting you where the administration's at, the administration's in Brooklyn. That's where the power is. You're going to be tested. Wow. You are going to be active.
And you better fulfill your obligations.
You better perform.
Mm-hmm.
You don't perform, sad to say, they're going to get rid of you. They're going to make somebody else. Now, what happens is it's good for the family because now, what really benefits is all the other factions that benefit from it. Because Vic and Gas are instilling the respect of the Lucchese family amongst the other families, saying, hey, don't F with us because we take care of our business and we'll take care of whoever comes our way, right?
Right.
So all the other factions really benefit from that.
Well, it kind of makes sense because they're holding everybody to a little different standard, right or wrong. And the other guys are just doing business.
You know what, though? It really got out of hand, though. It just got to be too much.
In what way?
Too much. It was just too much.
It was too much. They were too much, or they were asking too much?
Yeah, I'm thinking back. No, both.
Really?
Both. It was just they from a gangster standpoint of view, right?
Mm-hmm.
They did a lot of good for the family as far as the gangster part of the thing. But in reality, they really wrecked.
I think a few people may agree with you on that.
They really wrecked us.
Yeah.
They really did.
Why? Because of the way they approached things, the way they completed a deal. I call them deals. Sorry, but explain
the thought process. Exactly what you just said. The approach.
Okay.
How they approach things was just barbaric. There was no Cosa Nostra with these guys. There was no finesse. They didn't know that.
Dry, heartless, and cold.
These guys were stone cold killers. And that's all majority of what they knew was kill. They were killing machines. And they were bloodthirsty. They weren't
politicians.
Nah.
They weren't gonna go have 12 sit downs to have a discussion. They were gonna make decisions.
Yeah, I mean, look, they had a lot of things going against them too. Nobody, when they took over the family, nobody really. I think back, nobody really thought they should be the heads of the family.
Really?
Right. So they had an uphill battle. They almost had a startup company.
I get
Think
it.
about it.
Yeah.
It was a startup.
But they gave them the opportunity.
That's why I'll get into Buddy Luongo. They called him the Bear. I'll get into a whole episode or episodes about that guy. Who did the work, how they did it, why they did it, who really did it,
Yeah.
I just want to focus on Petrocelli, but it shows you there's a track record here of character and the way they did things, Vic and Gas have been around. They've been around a long time. They were one of the biggest, if not the biggest, drug dealers in organized crime. So when you talk about guys that could handle their business, go do a piece of work any time of the night, you could call them, they'll be there, and earners, okay? Like I told you, Gaspipe was one of them, and Vic also, too, was another one as well.
They had those qualities that they can do both.
Yeah.
Not just earn.
But here's the thing, though. Either one of them could fight with their hands.
Huh?
We didn't talk about that. We talked about...
tell me about that, yeah.
Now we talk about guys who are good with a gun. They'll shoot you. Guys who are good with their hands, they'll knock you out.
Mm-hmm.
And guys who are big money makers.
And capable of all of the above.
And racketeers.
Yeah.
There are guys like that around, too.
Okay.
I would say the only thing that Vic and Gas lacked was they weren't good with their hands. I mean, they'd fight. I don't know how much damage they would do. They pick up a gun, they pick up a knife.
A gun or
they'll kill you.
Something to do battle with.
But they weren't that. They weren't a tough guy with their hands.
Gotcha.
Let's say.
Yeah.
A lot of guys weren't. But then there's guys that are tough guys with their hands and a gun. Petrocelli goes way back, and then all I'm hearing is all the dirt with Vic. I'm hearing all the stuff about things that he didn't like about Vic, and through the years, this and that and all this other stuff. So I got like the inside track of Vic Amuso, you know. Gas, like I said, he didn't have a relationship with Gas as good as he did with Vic. But looking back, if Johnny Petrocelli would have played his cards right, and I don't know if his life would have been any better, but I know he wouldn't have been dead. You know, that I do know.
True, yeah.
If he would just play his cards right and not get involved. But really, when you think about it, right? Me and you were in jail together, okay? We got a relationship. We lived together 24/7 for years, okay?
Yeah.
Or anybody else we're with. That guy, let's say Gus is with us, right? And we know him. We're really close with him, right? He gets out of jail. He goes and does something stupid like that, right? And then he calls you for help. What do you do?
Probably help the guy.
You probably help him, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so let's look at John.
Feels like the right thing to do at that minute.
Right. So you gotta look at it and say, well, John's friends with the kid, and he helped him. Now you realize that he killed an agent, and now he's all over his America's Most Wanted. Now what do you do?
You're already in. You can't come out. You gotta finish what you started. What do? Just give the guy up? That ain't Petrocelli. He's not going to do that.
Right. Now they tell you, now they find out, you get your own brothers, like Ray Ficomo, rats on you to the boss and says, John's got him. Okay? Now the boss comes and tells you, hey, you got to kill him. Now what do you do?
For me personally, I guess you would have to complete the job. But hearing what I hear about Johnny and you know how he lived his life, he's going to run from that action. He's not going to hurt somebody, like you said, living together 24/7 in prison. They probably got a lot of secrets between each other, and they became like brothers.
But here's what confuses me, Sonny. I get the fact that Gus Fracci called you up and wanted your help, and you helped him. You harbored him.
He didn't have to, but he did.
He didn't have to, but he did. I respect that. No matter what. Now, you're getting massive heat. The mob's getting massive heat. Now, they find out you got him. Maybe John thought nobody was ever going to find out. He told enough people, and I know for sure Rafi was the one that got back to him, right? Okay, now cat's out of the bag. The agents know you got him. The mob knows you have him. Now you put yourself on a spot. You got to get rid of him, right? Now, if you agree that he has to go, why do you send somebody else to do it?
You made the mess. You better clean it up. Is how I was brought up, right? Why didn't Petrocelli go do it himself?
Or if you really didn't want the guy dead, why send anybody to go do it?